program, talk a little bit about the sales process, have Steve present on the Zultys solution as well as their new quoting tool that they've just recently launched, which is very exciting. So we're going to get it going here. And again, just a reminder, please put us on mute. You can always text in your questions. We'll open it up for questions at the end. And please do not put us on hold or else we'll get your on hold music. So with that, we're going to have Dale Stein take it away, and we'll push things forward. All right, thank you, everyone. I can't get rid of that. All right, so the Zultys Cloud Voice program, we're finding that we're getting traction. A number of our tag members are starting to implement that, put this into their quiver of tools and opportunities of their sales. And the first thing we want to talk about here is what are the true competitive advantages of this program. And in the sales process, we're always looking at how do we differentiate ourselves from the other 100 companies selling hosted services. And this is what this program really allows us to do. It sets us aside, it makes us different, and we give value instead of just selling price. Because we all know people buy price when we give them nothing else to purchase. And we're going to talk about that as we go through this presentation. Our competitive advantages that we really want to press to the customer is that, single bill is that we have bundled the phones, the routers, the PoE switches, and the services under a single bill, where we don't have 2 different or 3 different bills coming to a customer. So single bill becomes real critical to the customer standpoint from being able to manage their costs and telecommunication costs. All right, services and provided equipment. So your competition, the majority of the competition, other than one company, is coming in and they're going to lease the phones and have a different billing. They're going to come in and sell the phones and have a different billing. Or they're going to, if the few companies that are starting to provide the equipment themselves, they're going to have the billing for that particular transaction, along with the service billing from the hosted provider. And with us, in this particular program, we're going to be able to provide a single bill from Zultys that bills everything at one time. It becomes extremely important in the sales process as we get into this. No cash outlay for you or your customers. And this is the advantage that you're looking at, is that not only is no cash outlay, but there's really no need for credit approval. And the reason for no need for credit approval, we've been doing this now where we've been providing the phones and providing the equipment along with the services on 2 separate bills. And we're finding that when we go back and we take a look at it, the risk of doing this is extremely low. Of the 1,000+ seats that we're monitoring out there that has this program, we had a couple companies that went out of business. One company came in, was purchased by a conglomerate, and they changed out the system. But in every case, we got all the equipment back. So our PoE switches, our routers, and everything else were redeployed, and the phones were sent in and refurbished, and we redeployed those phones. So we actually ended up with very little risk on this. That's why we know this program works, which also allows us, to have that competitive advantage. Zultys is responsible for collecting and distributing taxes. Tag members no longer at risk. I know there's a lot of services that go out there and they try to bill this and so forth, and some of our tag members have tried to bill it themselves. And as we looked at this and we talked about it, we said, unless you have LEC status, you do have some risk, or we believe you have some risk, and we've taken that risk away where Zultys, because of the LEC status and the amount of time that they spent and the amount of money they spent to be able to put themselves in a position to build this, we're taking advantage of it. So Zultys has definitely partnered up with us to give us these competitive advantages. The other major competitive advantage is month-to-month contracts with the customer. And what this does for you is that all your competitors, everyone else that we're dealing with, are requiring 3 years and sometimes 5-year contracts. And what happens with that in the sales process is that, and we've experienced this also, as long as that equipment's working, as long as we're providing the service, as long as we have good communications with our customers, which we all try to accomplish, and the product works, is that the risk of losing that account is relatively small or minimal. Here's the real advantage, and it's a question we always ask ourselves. I go ahead and sign a contract, whether they perform or don't perform, I'm still obligated to pay that contract, especially when it's the major carriers that are coming in with their hosted platforms, the Exos and the other companies that are out there doing this from a carrier standpoint. You're not going to get out of the contract. So that's whether the equipment works or doesn't work. And that's something that we have to educate the customer on when, in fact, we're going in and talking to them, is that, you know what, we want to eliminate your risk, keep your risk to a minimum. Most companies ask you to sign contracts, which we don't really believe is to your advantage. Now, the other side of that is that when that contract comes due and it's up in 3 years, those companies got to go back there and resell that services in that agreement. What we're finding is on a month-to-month, there's never that ending thing, oh, my contract's up, what do I do? Or, geez, I got to sign a new contract. We just let it roll, let it roll, let it roll. And what happens is that you have less of a probability of losing the account because your competition will say, geez, I wonder what else is out there. My contract is due. Let's go out and see what's available. And if you're month to month, that really doesn't happen as long as we're servicing the account. And what that does for us is that we don't have to take the time, the energy, and the risk of losing the account because our contract is coming up. And once again, you know, we're looking at the only time we've had people question something is when we had a separate bill that showed provided equipment, and they question that bill, and we know that with a single bill that we blended the services and all the equipment as a single entity, like how we sell CTAP and how we sell, you know, a lease system. We don't give itemized pricing. We don't say your phone's this many phones at this amount of price. It's a single bill. Here's everything that we provide in that single bill for you. We know that one is we're not going to have that customer at risk. We're not going to be at risk, and it's to the best advantage of everyone who's involved in this transaction or these transactions. Some of the other competitive advantages, you know, we're providing equipment, and you don't have to have a cash outlay for it. The customer doesn't have the cash outlay for it. You don't have to inventory. From a cost standpoint, it's very, very effective for everyone involved, including the customer. We provide the phones. We're going to provide the proper routers. We're going to provide the PoE switches, and everything will be deployed with QoS so that we know we have the right equipment, and that QoS is going to be put into effect, which gives us the assurance that the product's going to work as sold and that the customer is going to be happy with the services that they're being provided. Our sales process is, you know, I want to go through this because here's what we found that was happening. Here's what your competition is doing. All of the manufacturers and everybody selling hosted are all putting out calculators so the salespeople can calculate everything else. And what the salespeople do, they take the calculator, they calculate everything else, they make a copy of it, and they send it to the customer and say, here's your cost, here's what you need to pay, and so forth and so on, without realizing that that has line item pricing in it. It has, oh, I got 10 phones, and those phones are costing me $24 per phone, and it brings up the confusion, and it brings up the risk of getting down to, well, their phone is $19 and yours is $24. How come? And that's why when we first got in this business, our success of taking this business and becoming very successful in selling phone systems is we recognize we do not give line item pricing. We do not say this phone costs this amount of money. And you know, we've grown businesses from 700,000 to $18 million a year with that one concept. Is that there's no reason to do that. But what's happened is hosts have come out, and we've gone back to the same thing where, you know, the calculators come out, because the salespeople think, well, that's, I need them to sign this, so therefore, you know, I got to give it to them in this fashion. And you know what? It's going to cost you sales if, in fact, we don't compress and present in a single price. The other thing that happens is that some of the salespeople have gotten to a point where they say, well, how many phones, how many lines, here's my price, and they send out the calculator paperwork and try to close the deal in that fashion. And I'm going to go back to people buy price when we give them nothing else to purchase. So I want to go back and reemphasize that we had to do this within our own company. As I start realizing, as the paperwork was coming in, the sales were coming in, I start getting salespeople, well, you know what, I lost this deal because of price. And I said, what? And as we recognized, what happened is I had, you know, a particular salesperson, that was just sending out how many phones, how many lines, here's your price, sign here. And it costs us business, it will cost you business. We set the appointment. We send out the front end package as we have always done. We have a customer, we look at the customer website, so we have something to talk to them about their company, and they know that we've done some research. We go on that first appointment, and the first appointment is collect the connectivity. Because without doing ROI here, we have a real challenge. And we collect their phone bills, we collect their internet bills, we collect everything that they're doing as far as connectivity so that we can do the ROI. And 85% of the time, the ROI will allow us to put a phone system in at what they're presently spending or less than what they're spending 85% of the time. You got to get ROI. Your competition is not even looking at ROI. So if their bill is $1,000 and I'm coming in and my cost for putting in the phone system on a hosted is $700, right? I don't tell them the cost is $700. I tell them, by putting this in, you make $300 a month. Or if my cost is $1,200, I don't say it's $1,200. I say the ROI is, when we put it together, the cost of your phone system is $200 a month. Let me show you how I got that. Right? We send press releases. We've done a number of articles on hosted. We have white papers on hosted. We do a project overview. We send in the draft saying, geez, I'm hoping that this is what we're all on the same page. We're looking here to accomplish this. And what that project overview does is it gives them a reason to buy your system versus price. Because in the project overview, we're going to have 6, 7, 8 different business applications that we discuss with the customer that this is the reason that you're going to buy our system. And it differentiates us in the marketplace. If people say, geez, Dale, would you do this on a 10-phone system? Would you do this on a system? And I go back to the only time you do this is if you want the sale. And we then come in and this is where it really becomes important because all of us are doing MSP, and this allows us now to come in and do a rapid fire deployment on their network, and it now opens up the doors for our MSP business and services. So we find out, can that network actually handle an IP phone system? What's going on with that network and so forth? And it opens up the other category, which is, what's going on their data side. We then do a demo web share application where we'll come in and have a web share, show them how the functionality, how the system works, discuss it because they've already signed off on the project overview. We show them those features. We show them the find me, follow me. We show them the recording. We show them the reporting, and we show them all the things that we discussed in our project overview. And then we set a closing appointment, and we present an actual proposal as we move forward. and this is a step that we cannot emphasize more, is that the easy way is, and this is what your competition is doing. How many phones, how many lines, here's your price, here's what it costs you, right? And, you'll always find somebody that will always find a lower way of doing it. What we need to do is we need to sell the value, we need to sell the business applications, and we need to sell the confidence that, geez, I got a company that actually cares about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and takes my business into consideration. Key selling points, as I say, basic business applications. It's find out, understand what all the things Mixie does. Find out all the things, and here again, that Zultys system is so feature rich. Take the 9 different applications that you know your competition can't do, and start talking about them on the first call, and say, let me ask you a question about the ability to text to speech, speech to text, or whatever the case may be, or whatever feature you want to talk about, and say, is that something that you believe you can use within your business? Educate them on the business applications. And the most simplest is DIDs. SIP provision. Talk to them about SIP. Educate them on SIP. Find me, follow me. ACD. The reporting on ACD. Reporting. Recordings that you're going to be talking. These are all the subjects that we need to talk about in that first meeting, so that when we do the project overview, we have that project overview saying, here's what we heard you talk about, here's what you're looking to accomplish with this, and so forth. Twinning, everything that we do there. And, providing equipment and service program is going to have you are your customers linked to services. And this is a different selling process. You own this customer, right? You are the link to get service provided for them. You are doing their programming. You're doing their reprogramming. You're working with them. They contact you to take care of what needs to be taken care of on their system. And if you've done this correctly, by putting that rapid fire on there, you ended up with their MSP business in addition to their phone business. We go back to the partner program. We sell this with this partner program. And it's everything that CTAP does except refresh, because I really don't need to refresh. It's not the manufacturer doing the reprogram. It's not the manufacturer doing the upgrades. It's you doing everything that has to happen here. And as I walk through this as a reminder, is that provide equipment service. With our partner program, your company truly partners with its customer. This is a selling process. So you go back to the partner program and you sell that with the hosted as part of their services. And you have to sell them and educate them on what you're doing. Providing equipment, our partner program also provides a new industry standard for consultation, education, and special services. You let them know all the other things that you're doing for them. Provide equipment service program. The greatest innovation assures your increased profitability and your costs can be fixed throughout this program. Provide equipment service program is priority queue in the partnership operations center. It's priority schedule of add, moves, and changes. It's priority dispatch on all service calls. It's guarantee of inventory on hand. We're not going to go in there and say, oh, we need to, the phone's not working, we need to order that phone. Software only upgrades. We're doing the upgrades, all right? We're doing the preferred service and replacement of defective equipment for factory recommendations. 24/7, 365 availability, monitoring IP telephony equipment. So you go back into that project, into the partner program, and you need to let them know these are all the things that we're doing for them that's included in that single pricing that we're providing them. We do an annual maintenance. We waive any charges for no trouble found on carrier calls. We do remote support service calls via telephone or emails during normal business hours. We do all your reprogramming at no charge to you. We designate key strips as needed. If they need that, then that needs to come out of here. That's an older portion. I don't think anyone uses key strips anymore. Upgrade user guides upon request online. Unlimited training. No charge for no problems found. Service calls. Now, this is where you really start differentiating. So, there's different companies that are out there. There's a lot of companies that you call in, tell them how many phones you need, they ship them out to you, and that's about the extent of their service. And, we know what we're talking about there. 8x8 and all those other companies that are high volume, throw it against the wall. They got 40%, 30 to 40% cancellation rate after a while, because when anyone needs support, there is no support for them. And that's what you need to press on these people, is that you can buy it two ways. You can buy it with support, without support. And local long distance audits, make sure everything is being billed correctly and so forth. Service provider bill reconciliation is that we will, once a year, we'll look at your contracts, we'll look at what you're being billed and make sure you're being billed properly. We'll do backups, archiving the databases where applicable. Annual analysis of connectivity charges. As charges drop, it's connectivity charges, and this is what's really important, is that, as you got a company, it's going to grow, you want to put in the ad trends that we're recommending here, because they have the ability to grow with increased data expansion. Because every one of these customers are going to end up using more internet, and that's the one thing you really want to start monitoring, is how do you know to get back in there and increase their internet bandwidth as their company grows. Waiver remote labor charges with software upgrades. Not only are we upgrading your software, we're not going to charge you for it when that occurs. We're going to waive remote labor charges when equipment is added or replaced. So we send out the project overview like we do on a regular sale, and we go into that conversation. They initial it, they work with it, and we now just found the reason why they're going to buy from you versus price. We've given them something else to purchase other than price. That's why you will be successful with the program, because your competition does not do this. I don't know one competitor out there that's doing this on the hosted. They run to the calculator, they get line item pricing, and they ship it to the customer. So, just some of the basics of the project overview. You all know this. You all been using this. You come in and 80% of the project overview is boilerplate, and it's built around the business applications that Zultys system has, and you've talked about it. You've got them in the conversation. You explained some of the things, and you don't say. We never walk in and say, we sell Zultys, or we sell this, or we sell that. The first appointment, we talk about applications without a manufacturer's name associated with it, so that when we call them to do a demo, we say, Mr. Customer, we're looking at a couple products that will fit and take care of that project overview. One of them is the Zultys program. Before I go too much further with this, I want to show you some of those applications we talked about and see where that's at. So now we're not selling them. We're saying we haven't made the decision that, I'm going to sell you a Zultys because I'm a Zultys dealer. We're looking and saying, let's take a look at some of the, here's a particular equipment that we think will do it. I want to get your opinion on this product and services. And then when you get all done, say, will this product take care of what we're looking to accomplish in that project overview? And they'll say, yeah. So, that's the cycle that we go through, all right? Call recording, this is all the things that, the system does. So then we get into the economics of the program. And any questions on that sales process before we go any further, guys? Anybody have a comment or question or concern? I'll give you enough time to get off the mute buttons here.
Please email me if you'd like to see the partner plan and or the project overview as well. If you'd like to get copies of those, just hit me with an email.
Thank you. Member recurring commission is that you get 25% of Zultys cloud services. The services that is being charged to the customer is, we got a 25% commission on that, and you got 25% of the provided equipment, so that you're going to end up with 25% of the full billing of not only the services but on the equipment, plus the $40 for the per seat cost. The $45 per seat cost that allows that to come back to your company, so you do have some monies to be able to pay the salesperson. Once you exceed 300 seats, that goes to 35% on cloud services, and it goes to 30% on the provided equipment. So you're sitting there with a really nice blend, and when you do the economics of this, and it's discussed in the financial classes of the impact of the numbers and what you're doing, and you're getting that kind of commission without having to put out any kind of capital outlay to buy that equipment. So, you know, it's one of the most, we think one of the richest hosted processes out there that, you know, you're going to get as high as 32% on an average. And the closest thing you can come with anybody else out there is 20% on services only. So you really have a financial stake here to truly build what we're all trying to accomplish, and that's our recurring revenue. And, you know, the building's moving forward as you build that. So once you hit 300 seats, 301 seats, you start getting these commissions. We got a cloud-provided equipment sales training class going in Chicago. We're going to get the full sales training. We're going to incorporate this. It's October 15th and the 16th in Chicago. It's up on the calendar. Please get registered for it. We're going to be talking about how you sell hosted and how do you integrate the MSP into that hosted. So it's going to be a full onboard total sales class, sales opportunity, prospecting, and so forth. So I'm going to turn this over to Steve. Steve's going to go through, you know, Zultys and why Zultys and answer any questions you have on that. Unless anybody has any questions at this point in time on myself. Anybody? Okay.
Carl, to answer your question, Carl's a question regarding the activation fee per seat. It's actually for the $47 essentially, 45 of that, 47, because there's a processing fee associated with that. So $45 goes back to the member to pay the salesperson up front.
So that is the only cash outlay that they do have, Carl, because it's an activation fee, and you know, in the 2.5 years we've been doing this, nobody has ever questioned the activation fee because it goes back to Zultys and not to you. And we used to have it where we were collecting it, and every time I billed it, I had the customers sort of grind our guts out for that amount. And as soon as we went back to the manufacturer, not one time has anyone questioned that fee, because I look at them and say, yeah, I have nothing to do with it. That's the services from the hosted provider. They go, oh, okay, good question, thank you.
Okay, Steve, I think you're all set.
Okay, all right, thanks, Dale, thanks, Brian, and thank you guys for attending today. We're certainly excited about this program. You know, when we first began with our cloud services offering, we were making a presentation on no upfront investment and no risk, and oh, by the way, you need to buy $10,000 worth of phones. So it kind of, by bringing this program together, we now have that 100% consistent offer. So what I'd like to do just for a few minutes is talk about why Zultys versus someone else in the hosted world. The sell of hosted, if you have monthly recurring revenue in your business plan, and I believe that all of you do, it becomes sort of a no-brainer. It's an obvious addition to your portfolio. So the question is, why Zultys over someone else's hosted? Let's take a look right here. The product is, especially if you're selling our premise product, our MX250 or MXSE or MX Virtual product, adding our hosted to it requires you to deliver exactly the same product. There's only one solution to know, one solution to deliver. There's just one solution to train on, to keep your technicians up to speed on. You have, with this offering, all of the convenience of the hosted solution, but with the feature and functionality of the MX. So there is zero difference between a server-ran in the cloud hosted MX solution and an appliance-based product that's stuck in a closet someplace. So obviously, the hosted piece is an excellent way to create recurring revenue. But this is a little something I've learned accidentally recently. How do you make more money selling hosted than you do premise? Well, it happens because the customer is willing to pay more for a hosted solution. And all you really have to do is look at how much have they they probably paid 2.5 times what they could buy a system for in the beginning. You, in that time period, have been making a significant commission on those monthly payments. So it is a way to create a greater level of profitability within your business. So obviously we would say access to Zultys sales and technical support would be a benefit beyond many of the hosted providers. We have state-of-the-art data centers set up right now, one in Boston and one in Denver. We have complete failover capability within the data centers, and we have the ability for the data center to fail over one to the other. The data centers, in the data centers, we have access to all of the major carriers, like AT&T, like Verizon, like Level 3, XO. With our own data center, we have 24/7, 365 monitoring. Someone is looking at our equipment and our applications around the clock. So why choose Zultys over a competitor? Well, one way is so you can get more. You get more for the money. Today, if you think about the other hosted providers, almost everyone is running on BroadSoft, Metaswitch, or some version of Asterisk. So almost everyone has the same basic set feature content. We believe that we have positioned ourselves to provide more, and that nonetheless priced competitively with all of the other carriers. So if you look at our standard user, which is our lowest priced user bundle, that user bundle includes all of the features of a fully functional PBX, a mobility capability, as well as ACD. The premium user is much more robust. We'll cover the content later. So all of our competitors have a UC client. None of them have an enterprise-grade UC client like Mixie. Look at functionality like drag and drop of a call and the call management on the desktop. The call log capability, our presence in notes, integrated chat, the DVR call recording. That, as many of you know, is our way of saying we cache call recording. So even if you decide late in a call you want to record it, you hit the record button and it captures everything from the beginning. These are differentiating factors over the competitors. Binding is a super significant feature. When you show the benefit of binding, you create a need in the user that when they go back and ask the competition for the same thing, we've now identified the differentiation for ourselves. Okay, call handling rules is another significant advantage. I'm going to hurry through some of this stuff so it's not even all the time. Our call escalation ability, up to 16 different phone numbers. There are a mobility. Mobility is a significant differentiator. You know, with our latest version, you can actually be a call center agent from your cell phone. Not many of the competitors will be able to offer something like that. So let's go through here because I want to spend more time on the offering other than just the differentiation of the product. By the way, one final differentiation we can talk about here is our contact center capability. Our typical competitors are not going to have this sort of robust. You're only going to see this when you're competing against, say, Five9s or someone that has specialized in call center functionality. Okay, so Dale mentioned that your offering is month to month. We do have within our system other contract terms, but for the tag program, it'll be month to month. If you look at our pricing, one of the things you'll see is that we have offerings that start at $15.99 a month. That offering includes all of the PBX capability, a mobility, as well as think of it as trunk per phone. Every phone or every user has access to the network. So there's also a differentiation factor here in how we do this. BroadSoft is a multi-tenant product. MX in our cloud, or Zultys Cloud Services, is a multi-instance product. And what does that mean? That while multiple customers can be serviced by the same server, their instances that are running on that server are 100% independent of each other, so they're totally secure. Yeah, we think that this is a big differentiator between us and the other hosted offerings, is that we own this product. This is our product. We continue to develop this product. We're not waiting on BroadSoft or Metaswitch to come up with a new release. All new functionality that we develop can be added to existing instances. So we have a developmental program that we think is at a greater pace. Finally, as Dale mentioned earlier, this is your customer. This customer does not belong to Vonage. It doesn't belong to 8x8. It belongs to you. So we have. I want to talk about what the offerings are here. Basically, the month-to-month is what you'll use. On month-to-month plan, we have an unlimited program. We have 1,000 minutes per user program, and then we have billable plans. This offering on the month-to-month program gives your end user the ability to scale as they need to. So if they start out at 30 users and need to go to 45, they can add 15. More importantly, if they start out at 30 users and they need to go to 20, they can move to 20 without penalty. Program is 5 users or not. We don't want customers less than 5. I don't think you want less than 5 either. Phone and ancillary products are now included in the monthly program. We have the ability to add on additional charges and fees, although in this program, there's going to be the automatic $47.50 setup fee that the customer is charged, and $45 of that fee is passed through to you. Once again, you own the customer. So this part is new. I think many of you on the call today are familiar with ZQT. ZQT is our internal quoting tool that you access on ZRC. And ZQT does have this pricing within the quoting tool. However, we have found that our initial approach, where we could create an Excel or a Word document with pricing, we had multiple forms which required multiple signatures, and we had a paper program that was inefficient, and it made us look less contemporary of a company and an offering than we really are. So we went out and we found a quoting tool from a company called MasterStream. And MasterStream has used their quoting tool, or I should say, MasterStream's quoting tool is used extensively within the industry, within the various carriers, broadband providers, and master sales agents and sales agents. So the tool is very well known within that side of our industry. And the benefit of it is that we can eliminate the paper, and we can create an electronic signature. So this is going to make our offering much more professional, much more efficient, and a significant change from where we've been. So all I'm going to do today is we're just going to kind of take a look at the creation of a quote. One of the things you'll see in my screen captures here is that it will show line item pricing. We're brand new. In fact, we're not actually online with this quoting tool yet. We have not implemented it, and we're all still learning how to become an expert on it. I'm going to show you the offering today. Today, you can export. You can use an export tool and eliminate the line item pricing. But we we're going to give you a version of this where it will produce a quote without providing line item pricing. So this is the home screen that we're looking at. This is where me as a user, I would access. And Dale or Brian, is my mouse visible to everyone?
I'm not seeing your mouse. I'm not seeing your cursor.
Okay, well then it's not going to do me any good to point things with it. So this is the home screen where I can come in and I can set up new sales agents. I can change my profile. I can look at my quotes, but more importantly, I can create a quote. And that's what I'm going to walk through here today. This would be the first screen. We'll go in and decide is this a new or existing prospect. We'll establish who is actually the selling agent, who is, if this is you, then you would put you in there. And then you put the company information here. And yes, I was being a little cute with Acme and Wiley Coyote. And then we have the location identity here. So when we're done there, we click on Save and Continue. The next screen that we'll go to will give us an ability to add location 2. I did not add a second location, so I would go to Continue. Continue will allow me to set up the request type, which would be new, existing, or reconfiguration. So you could use this for a quote tool if you wanted to do a significant addition to an existing customer. It allows us to select the term, in your case month to month, the time frame that we expect to purchase. Then we would go to step 2. At step 2, we would actually enter in our desired configuration. So we have in our basic user bundles at the top, we have a standard user, a premium user, a contact center user, and a lobby user. So lobby users are identified as, lobby phone, lunchroom phone, some low, it's a low usage device. We provide no minutes with one of those. And it's designed to have an economical alternative for just a low usage phone. So for those of you that don't know about these bundles, a standard user includes an MX user license and a mobility license. And so with that, you get a user that has full PBX capability, including voicemail, all call control, all functionality that you have from the phone system, and they have a mobility integration. A premium user gets all of that, plus they get Mixi, they get Outlook integration, they get conference, they get fax, they get a it's a much upgraded capability, and obviously that's the one that we like to sell. When you look at the pricing on it, you'll see that there's not a significant increase to go from standard to premium. And then of course we have the contact center, which is everything that the premium has, plus the ICC license, so full contact center. If you move down, if I move down, you'll see that there are other a la carte items like storage or additional auto attendant voicemail access or additional call recording. So there's I'll scroll down. Here's the additional items that we could add, including routers, PoE switches. About and see which rate plan that they pick. So there's an unlimited, 1,000-minute, and then there's a billable plan. I looked at the math. Excuse me. And looking at the math, if you have an average use of, let's say, less than 250 minutes per month per user, the billable plan can be economic, can be attractive. If you have a full-blown call center and you want to oversubscribe the trunking, then the billable plan is the only option. So just speaking on unlimited and 1,000-minute plan, 1,000 minutes is more than adequate for any normal average user. 1,000 minutes will not take care of a high volume call center, and in a high volume call center, there's an increased cost in providing the carrier services. So that in a call center, we will only work with the 1,000-minute plan or the billable plan. In the 1,000-minute plan, if there's 30 users and 10 of them are call center, they've got 30,000 minutes to use over all 30 users. So that's a look at the input. We'll go, next we'll create a summary, and here's where you'll see exactly what we have accumulated now in terms of hardware, phones, and services. So at this point, I can click submit, and what submit has done is it's now saved it as a quote here, and with all the details here. I can go back to RFQ Manager. I'm sorry, I can go back to RFQ Manager, or I can take a look at the proposal, and the proposal looks something like this. Here's all of the customer information above. Scrolling down, you'll see the detail of what we quoted. Your version will have no line item prices, but it will have the quantity. It'll have the description and the quantities, and then it'll have a total price. There's the rest of that form scrolling all the way down. So if you look at the bottom, this is $1,996 monthly, and it's $1,997 for the installation. Here, once I have created the quote and I've submitted it, it'll go in. I can access that quote again by going into my RFQ Manager. And as you can see in here, we probably can't see the details, but these are various quotes that we have made. They're all just test quotes right now, but we can go back in here and access these later. So without producing a significant number of additional screenshots, let me just speak to what happens with the rest of the process. You've now created the quote, you've submitted it, it's been saved. From this point forward, you can send that quote via email to the end user. The end user can accept that quote, and from that create an order, or will create all of the documents that are required for signature, and electronic signature, e-sign, will be the tool. They can then email the quote back. The quote can be submitted on our end. It gets provisioned, and then you're notified that the instance is ready for your access and for your programming and deployment. So what I think we've covered today is an offering that it is now consistent with a presentation of no risk and no upfront investment, very capable service, greater level of feature functionality. You, as our channel partner and a tag member, are in control of the end user. You've created a monthly revenue stream that will allow you to make more money and make more money over time. So that brings us to a conclusion on the presentation today, and now we're open and ready for any questions that you may have.
Steve, in your quote, there was a 30 phones and a 24-port PoE.
Yeah, that shows I'm not very good at configuration, doesn't it? The quote tool will let you make a mistake.
The answer is there's 6 phones off site.
Sounds good, Jerry.
Yeah, I like that one. I'll go with that.
Hey, Steve, when will this be available?
I think Neil's on the call with us too. We still got a couple of I's to dot and T's to cross, but within a couple of weeks. I mean, truthfully, it's a available right now if we turned it over to you. But we just got a couple of things that we're still tweaking in, like for instance, the non-line item pricing. And to be honest with you, none of us have really become experts on the tool yet. So we still have multiple training sessions that a small group of us are going through. They'll be, once released, our regional sales director will be available to provide instruction and training. But we'll plan on doing a number of webinars just on instruction on how to use the quote tool. Oh, I forgot something. The quote tool gives us the ability to, when we send it to the end user, to the prospect, it also has a documents library, and you can attach documents to the quote itself. So the quote is a classic Excel spreadsheet, and kind of ledger-looking document with pricing on it, and description, a line item description of what you're getting. The document that Dale showed earlier can be stored in the document library and simply attached to the email that goes to the end user or goes to the prospect. In addition to that, in the document library right now, we have a 7-page proposal document that is, it is not numbers. It is not dollar figures. It is a description of MX. It's a description of the feature and functionality that the user is receiving. Any other questions?
When you are putting routers in your config there, is it the kind of router that would be dual WAN? Like, do you talk to your customer or prospective customer about having a separate connection just for VoIP? And is that what this router's for, or is the router just on location to hook the voice and the data networks together so that one network can talk together?
So a couple of schools of thought there. In some cases, maybe what the local area network and the broadband connection that already exist are adequate. That's there. And I think if you ask Dale, and Dale will jump in here in a minute, I think Dale will tell you that given his experience over the last couple of years, he's found it a requirement to go in and establish a local area network broadband connection that he can guarantee the QoS on. Correct, Dale?
That's a correct statement. That's why in the PowerPoint we said QoS, and we've just learned that, without QoS, you're somewhat at the mercy of a lot of different variables. So we want to secure QoS. And the other thing that happens there is that you also have to understand, guys, the hosted is an absolute great vehicle to do more MSP work and more data work and so forth. So getting that router on there, having QoS, and find out what's going on in their, on their network just allows us more opportunity and a higher quality of service.
So QoS is, like I get the QoS on your local area network. That's easy with VLANs or DSCP, but what about on the outside, on the WAN side? Are you doing 2 connections, one for voice and one for data, or just one with like an MPLS type?
Well, here on the outside, we have, if the customer wants to go down that way, then you deploy AppNeta and some of the other tools. But no, we can't, it's always the question that you have of the carrier coming in with QoS and so forth. So yeah, it's the LANs and VLANs and so forth internally.
All right. Okay.
And it's still better what your competition does, because this is where when somebody says, well, they're less money. I mean, these are the questions we ask. Well, okay, but I don't see QoS, I don't see a route, I don't see a PoE. They're putting bricks. What else are they skimping on? And here's what we've learned, especially with hosted. We try to put in the best in the right way of doing it, not too concerned about the price, because our sales process shows all these other things of why they're going to deal with us versus our competition. And we just found over time is that, having QoS, having the routers, having the PoE switches just sets you apart, and it gives you a reason to say, well, yeah, they strip this thing down to the bone, and they're all they're trying to do is make a sale here. I'm trying to do it correctly. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve?
Hello. So, are there any other questions?
Yes. Yes, I have a question about the MX meeting with the video. Is that something we can offer them?
Not as part of Zultys Cloud Services. Basically, the R-Hub appliance that we have, we did not take that into the data center. It can be functional. I mean, you can set up MX meeting in a remote location and aim it back at the instance. We have a goal, a developmental goal, to try to integrate that functionality in with the MX application, but there's no schedule on that as of now.
Thank you.
From the time of order submission to implementation and having the instance built, what kind of time are we looking at?
Typically, well, same day. I mean, possible same day or next day, worst case. If the order comes in complete and clean, and let me explain that. So some of the documentation is it's not just Zultys documentation. It's letter of authorization, carrier, to port a number and that sort of thing. So the instance itself can be established quickly as long as the order is complete and all the documentation is correct. Now, porting of numbers, however, is going to be 5 days or plus. The porting of numbers is outside, obviously, of any of our control. We're dependent upon how quickly the carriers will react. But our experience thus far has been about 5 days required to do a port. In terms of having access to an instance so that you can begin programming, that can be same day or next day.
This is Carl. I'll weigh in on that. The guys up in the support are awesome, and they go out of their way to make it as fast as possible. And I will say that on the porting, you have to get that LOA perfect. It has to match the bill. So, like, if their name is integrated and the bill says integration, you have to say what the bill says, or else there's going to be a problem down the road.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback.
Yep. And another thing, as far as the dual circuits go, one for voice, one for their regular internet, and the other one for voice. I'm pretty sure with a hosted, you have to come in on one combined circuit because their Mixie is going to be residing on their clients that use that data circuit. Does that make sense? You're going to have to mix them anyway. The voice is coming in on the same circuit that the data is coming in because one's separate and then the other one goes to their client computers anyway on their LAN.
But, this is Steve again. I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to forward that question over to one of our sales engineers to confirm how that actually works.
Yeah, we found that out.
I mean, so, yeah, you're right. I mean, we'll get a confirmed answer, but that makes sense to me.
Thank you.
So, anyone else with another question? If you think of one later, you can always reach out to us, but anything else right now? If not, I have a question for all of you on the line. Are you going to sell this product? I hope somebody didn't hang up.
Yes.
Yes. We all think it's a great offering. We really do believe in the fact that it's one product, so it makes your it makes your operations more efficient. It makes your knowledge-based requirements more efficient. We believe that the commission rate getting upwards of 35% is greater and significantly greater in many cases than any of the other hosted guys are providing. We believe that customer control and ownership is why you're in business to begin with. It creates a lasting value in your business. We believe that you will make more money, and certainly not just necessarily over time, but over time guaranteed. A $25,000 PBX that somebody spent $50,000 on over 60 months. 35% of that is more than the gross margin would have been at the 2.0 mark. So there's more money to be made. And we also believe that we have, between Zultys and TAG, a rock-solid relationship that is focused on mutually beneficial goals and objectives. So I hope that you all see this, and I hope that you will move forward with us. I am going to be asking my regional sales guys to hammer you for your commitment. So don't blame them when they bug you to death. And for those of you that have already picked up our posted offering, thank you very much for your business. And for those of you that haven't, I expect to thank you for your business shortly. Dale, Brian, that's all I have from my end. Thank you for setting this all up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Steve, for a great presentation. Again, I want to thank everyone from Zultys and participating here. I know there was a number of the sales team there, as well as all of our members. We have recorded this session. It will be up on the TAG website under the videos portion. So if you'd like to have anyone else in your company review this at any given time, it will be up there in the next day or so. So take a look at it. Like Steve said, if you have any questions, please contact us here at TAG. Please contact Zultys. We're extraordinarily excited about this program. As Steve said, we have a fantastic relationship with one another that, it's all about obviously helping the end user expand their business, and obviously helping you expand your business and gain recurring revenue like nothing else in the industry. So again, thank you for your time. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to everybody soon.
Thanks all.